They say the first thing a woman tells about herself is the most crucial thing you need to know about her. Remember when I asked you what you think of yourself? Your answer was selfish. Of course I heard the voice in my head telling me, bro, it's time to run away from here. You don't want no headache, you don't want the pain and the heartbreaks. Still I stayed and real. You love nobody, girl, just yourself. You played my heart and you blinded me. You love nobody, just yourself. You play with my heart and you blinded me. Just like there's no remedy to love, betrayal cannot be cured. Only time can heal the pain when your heart went through the storm. It's hard to see the good, nothing remains the same. Girl, what you did was wrong, lying to yourself again. I don't want no headaches, I don't want no pain and no heartbreaks, because I stayed and realized I don't want no headaches, I don't want no pain and no heartbreaks. You blinded me. You love nobody, yeah, just yourself. You play with my heart, you blinded me. You blinded me, yeah, yeah. Just yourself. Nobody but yourself. There you have it. One day we'll take turns, and you will feel it. All the pain in my heart. You love nobody, just yourself. Yeah. You play with my heart when you blinded me. You love nobody, just yourself. You play with my heart when you blinded me. You love nobody, 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 nobody but yourself. When you blinded me, you love nobody, just yourself. You play with my heart when you blinded me. Jetons les dictionnaires de l'amour, car au final tout ça ne marche pas. J'ai suivi les règles sans m'en écarter. Rien que des mots, rien que du vent, je n'en veux plus. Lis dans mon cœur que des blessures, j'ai de la peine. Je n'en veux plus, je m'en fous. Si tu as tout lâché et que mes rêves sont brisés, je t'aime quand même, je t'aime quand même. Même si tu as tout gâché laisse tout avant de devenir fou. Car cette histoire n'est que larmes sur mes joues. Des sacrifices pour des illusions, je perds la raison. Lis dans mon cœur que des blessures, j'ai de la peine. Je n'en veux plus, je m'en veux. Si tu as tout gâché et que nous sommes brisés, je t'aime quand même, je t'aime quand même. Même si tu as tout gâché et que nos rêves sont brisés, je t'aime quand même, je t'aime quand même. Même si tu as tout gâché et que nos rêves sont brisés, je t'aime quand même, je t'aime quand même, je t'aime quand même. Et que nos rêves sont brisés, je t'aime quand même, je t'aime quand même. Garde donc ton amour, je n'en veux plus. Je t'arracherai de mon cœur, je n'en veux plus. Je ne ressens plus rien pour toi. Je t'aime, tu mens. Tu mens, mon cœur ment, mon cœur ment, mon cœur ment, mon cœur ment, mon cœur ment. Je t'aime tu mens, tu mens. Mon cœur ment, mon cœur ment, mon cœur ment, mon cœur ment, mon cœur ment. Je
Mic check. Welcome to Club Shada episode 287. Hey, 13 episode from 300. Ain't that crazy? Why am I low in my headphones? There you go. Why is... See, allergies, like, it's the spring. The allergies didn't touch me. And as soon as I start the live, it starts itching everywhere. And I'm too lazy to go take my anti-allergic. So I'll take them after the live and start taking them every day. This show is brought to you by Shada, where the gods of good fortune. It is midnight and 43 here in Lisbon, Portugal. I hope everybody is doing great. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I forgot to send a message to all the beat makers, but it's time to give me all the remixes of whatever song we are doing right now. I forgot to send them a message. I want to acknowledge the stream royalty for this month of April. None other than Black Free Thinker with a donation. Black Free Thinker with a donation of $20, and of course, all our sponsors that help support the show since the beginning. Thank you so much for your donation. Don't forget that you can do donation on Facebook with the little stars and stuff. I don't know how it works, but you can. And you can also, of course, be the next stream royalty by just doing a super chat of $21. But listen, you can donate whatever you want if you feel. Don't forget to like the live and yeah, listen. I got a special live for you tonight. Listen, it's rare. Usually when I go live, I just usually when I go live, I just know what is the subject and I freestyle. And but tonight, because I really need to have like a chronologic explanation of what I want to talk about, I really took some notes, and I have like a bunch of notes in front of me. I actually have to prepare them. There you go. And I don't see nothing. How do I take this and make them zoom in? There's a zoom in. Oh, there you go. All right, perfect. I need to zoom in seriously. All right, there you go. Now I can listen. I have 3 big notes that I took on my iPhone and that got transferred to my computer with like a bunch of dates, because I'm trying to have people explain where we are today and why we are here. Because a lot of people tend to react to everything through emotions. A lot of people, and that's why politicians get all of you all the time. And business people and all these activists, they get you using emotions. When in reality, if you start basing your decision making and your reaction on facts rather than emotions, you can make informed decisions. Because most people do emotional decisions. So you might react to something and your reaction is completely unfair, but your emotion dictated it to you. And you're going to view the world in a way that you can completely be misguided by people who know how to play with your emotions, like the media, certain YouTube channels, politics, whatever, the world. And first of all, one thing I don't like to do is take decision for other people. Secondly, I hate imposing my opinions on other people. I like to give my opinion on my platform and to my friends, but I'm not trying to convince people or when I'm having conversation with people. I might disagree sometime with some friends, but I respect their opinions and they respect mine. And sometimes my opinion can influence theirs and change theirs. And sometimes their opinion can inform me and influence my opinions, which is the point of having conversation. A lot of people are just emotional. Oh, I hate the Russians. It's like, bro, chill. So that's why tonight I took a lot of notes. I'm about to block somebody on Twitch straight away. Ban. Boom. Ciao. Yeah. So, Sabrina. Yeah. We here. We almost at 290. Can you see that? Can you feel that? That's crazy. Sabrina, I give you an advice. Something you should go do. Since you love Club Shada, sometimes, I'm not live all the time. Sometimes when you have time or you have nothing to do, go back to episode 1 of Club Shada and watch as if it was live and then leave a comment. You will love it. And then episode 2, 3, 4, 5 until the moment when you started coming all the time. La Milliardaire, how are you? I hope everything good with you. Juju Zhao, how you doing? I hope recovery is doing good, and that you are very happy with your new surgery. True story, Sabrina. Tomei was goody. Emery was goody. I hope you're doing good. Oh, the double XL was good. That's Pinto in Facebook. Hello, bro. I hope you're doing good. Black Free Thinker. I hope you're doing good. Thank God I'm a Virgo. Logic saved me many times. But I confess that sometimes I react on emotions. I got an ex that is a Virgo. Yeah. I mean, depending on which polar side she is. But sometimes she's very logical. And other time I'm like, what's wrong with you? So, this is going to be a long one. Hey, Congo Star people, what up? Big up to Congo Star people with us online. Bless up. Sometimes some people on Instagram, they ask me to do a shout out to them for their Instagram. And I'm like, I don't have time to do that. But you see, I can do it now. You can now just take what I just said, cut it, and put it on your Instagram. Everybody wins. Nah, but bro, we have to meet. I come to Paris all the time and all I see is trash and rats, and I don't see you. All I remember is the old fat you. I got to see the new pretty boy you. The one that is prettier than Jackson. That's the revenge of le serpent à plumes. I got to see that with my eyes. Hi, bro. Hi, my guys and my girls. So, should we start? Or you want to wait for more people to come in? Sometimes, let me send a few messages to people who maybe are not sleeping. Let me. Some people that might be interested in this subject, maybe they can. What? Where's this link? The problem is that some people, they have notification for when I go live and they still don't get a notification. But yeah, the algorithms are doing their thing. What are we going to do? And I choose wrong my day because tomorrow I'm recording a podcast at 2 p.m. I mean, I will have time to sleep, but I need to look fresh because it's a video interview. But yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Well, listen. Enough people. DJ Soñador was good. Tout le monde veut des attaques de leur artiste préféré. Hey, listen. You don't have no idea. You have no idea the number of people who send me a message every day telling me it's my birthday. Could I have a video? I get these messages on Facebook, maybe 4 or 5 every day. I get them on TikTok, maybe 4 or 5 every day. I get them on Instagram, maybe 4 or 5 every day. And some people that have my numbers, I get them also on WhatsApp, 2, 3 every day. So, and then on Twitter, less on Twitter. Now imagine if you just take all this, let's round it up to 15 people every day asking for a video, right? So 100 days, that's 150. 300 days, that's 450. Now imagine if in a whole year there was 300 days that people asked me for a video. How am I supposed to do? Like, if you say yes to one person, then it just becomes the whole world is saying, yeah, me too, I want a video. And people that know you, people that don't know you, people that it's the first time they send you a message. Can I have a video? It's my birthday today. And you're like, no, it doesn't take a lot of time. Say, yeah, everybody's saying the same thing. But now if you multiply by 5 people, so you're gonna, hook up your video, say, hey, happy birthday, It's gonna take you 1 minute for the first one, another 1 minute. Okay, in 10 minutes you're done. But if you do this every day, that's a lot of work. So I have an app, but I don't use it. But I have an app and I set a price. Yeah. $250. And sometimes when people are pissing me off, sending me the thing all the time, please, my birthday, I send them the link. There you go. You go to this app, forgot the name, Cameo or something, and you want to shout out, you want me to talk about your company, you want me to talk about this, about that, you want to be sponsored on club. Yeah, $250. There you go. $250, and I will do a special post for you, or special video for you that you can post on your social and impress your friends. But if not, nah, man. No atalaku, no mabanga. Ezekiel, what's good? I hope you're doing good. Urban Sweet Spot, I hope you're doing great. I love this profile picture. All right, listen. Let's get it on because it's kind of a long I'm going to try to keep it under 1 hour and a half, but we have a lot to talk about and a lot to explain why it feels like there's a rebellion against the US dollar in the world. It feels like that currency that everybody's been. You see, I send a message and she appears better than a notification. Hey, Hanan. It seems that there's a rebellion against the US dollar. And instead of just, talking about it in a certain way, what up, MJ? I want to explain how we got there. Not that I'm a history teacher, and not that I'm a geopolitical researcher. But listen, I studied economics, so there's a little bit of economics in there, and I know a little bit of history, and that's why I did some research so I can present to the people, because people are kind of being people just are letting things pass them by, and they don't understand a lot of the intricacies of what happens in the world, and a lot of people don't care. And it's cool for them, they don't have to. I'm a person that the way I'm built, I cannot not care, and I cannot not see the behind the scenes and stuff. And since I have a camera and a YouTube channel, want to talk about it because I think it's a very, very interesting, and I would even say fascinating subject. So first, before I begin, I want to talk to you about something that my mentor, one of my mentors, used to always tell me about musical careers. And this changed and forged the way I view and do my business when it comes to music or anything actually. My mentor always used to tell me, kid, in music, just like in life and just like everything else, you have the rise of your career, then you have the apogee of your career, then you have a phase of cruise, and then you have the decline. And this is the way it is for anything. And this is the same thing for life. This is the same thing for power, gangs, politicians, and it's the same thing for empires. All empires rose, got to their apogee, cruise control for 100 years, and then declined, and then got replaced by another one. And I believe that we are witnessing, after 100 years, this, I don't know if it's the start, but I think we are witnessing the decline of the American Occidental, but more American empire, and the dominance of America and their policies and their vassals, the Europeans, in the world stage. We've been seeing it slowly. It's been happening, and of course, as every empire, they will fight with everything they have to prevent this from happening. But there's a kind of ineluctability in this. Master Electronic, what up? And whenever he was telling me this, it informed so many of my decisions in terms of my artistic business. And I actually, my whole career, I handled my chess moves in the music business as a politician, because I got the blood of a great politician in my body, and a lot of other great politicians, because I mean, it's not just my dad, I mean, I cannot say grandfather, but it's my I mean, he's my mom's stepfather, but he's the one who raised my mom since she was a kid, and he died yesterday. Rest in peace, Albert Ndele. And he was the governor of the Central Bank of Congo, and my grandmother was a politician as well. I got 2 siblings that are in politics, brother-in-laws, cousins. Like, I've been bathing in politics since I was born. And in a way, you don't really realize, but actually you are handling your business as a mathematician and as an economist, but at the same time as a politician. But something that really something that always stuck in my mind was this thing that my mentor told me. Every artist, every career, every label, every nightclub, think about it around you. Every business has a rise, an apogee, a period of cruise control, and then decline. And yeah, listen, the day I got successful, first album, 98, Bounce Baby, the first thing that came to my head was like, okay, rise. When I got to a certain level, I was like, okay, apogee maybe, and then I rise some more, and I was like, oh, okay, not yet. And then I got 20 years of performing, going around the world, etc. And then at a point, the show starts slowing down, and that's when I said to myself, okay, my music career as a performer is slowly declining. But I had so many hits. It took 10 years to decline from 2012 till 22, 23. But this whole time, I was aware of my position in my thing. So as the performer career was going down, I was building my catalog, making sure that my money would stay the same. I would find new opportunities, etc. because I understand all this, and I've been trained by my mentors to think this way. And I've been trained by the La Sorbonne economic classes as well. And as with the business of life experience, I really start, thinking about all this. Lil Mauro, what up, brother? How you doing, Master Electronic? I hope you're doing good. Oh, this guy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We can listen. Come represent Congo. No. English. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. Before I read that comment, something that my mother told me today, because I checked on her. Thank you, Sonia Dora. I checked on her today because I know that, and my mom posts all the time on her Facebook, WhatsApp stories and stuff. And today she was completely silent. So I was like, okay, you must, And I called her 2 hours ago, and I was like, yo, mom, so how you feeling? Because her Portuguese father passed away in the 80s, but he didn't really raise him. She raised her. She was always with the Albert Dele, my grandfather, I can say, but my real grandfather, or my genetic grandfather, died long time ago. But this time it's the one that my mom consider her dad, I guess. The Portuguese, no, not the Portuguese one, but the Congolese one, the one who raised her. And I was like, Mom, how you holding up? How you feel? And she was like, if I live until 93, I want you guys to have a salsa dance for me and celebrate, because 93 is a great life. It means that I lived a great life. And he told me my papi, that's how she called him, had a great life, made a lot of money, was a very powerful man, was a very caring man, and he lived a very, very great life. And I'm just celebrating him. And I hope that if I live that old, that I will be celebrated as well. And I was like, well, that's very wise, Mom. And then we talked about other things. Thank you so much. Did I see that one? Yeah, I saw that one. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Merci, merci beaucoup. It's you know, it's strange to be to have legends of your country in your family, because when they pass away, you don't, I mean, you feel as a family member, you feel it, that like the patriarch is gone. But at the same time, because he's like a figure of your country, it's also special. And I think not a lot of people in my country actually realize that he's my grandfather, because people know my dad. People know my dad as this big figure, this big politician, and they don't realize that my mom's father-in-law, our grandfather, was also as, and maybe even as more powerful than my dad. He was, I think, at a point, he was the richest man in Congo until I think Mobutu decided that, yo, this guy has to be assassinated and stuff. And then it's actually another one of my friends' father who saved him. Oh, listen, long story. We're not here for that today. But listen, yeah, this was Grandpa, Papi, Pepe Ndele. Yeah, rest in peace. You had a great life, and we will celebrate you the way it has to be done. So, now that the emotional part is done, let's go back to the decline of the American empire. I don't believe that it's something that's going to happen overnight. I don't believe that it's something that will, thank you. I don't believe that it's something that will change from Monday to Friday. But I think it's going to be a long process that, yeah, maybe, I don't know, 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. But everybody's positioning themselves. You see what I mean? Everybody is positioning themselves and preparing themselves to either take over or either to create a new system that is different from the one that it is now. And I'm not here to give you my opinion and put an opinion on you. What I'm interested in is laying how we got there, the facts, the story. Just like in the episode about the actual war, I was not I'm for these or I'm for those. I was like, okay, listen, this is how we got here. This is what happened 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, instead of what the news were telling. Oh, a month ago, this happened. Nah, you have to understand how you get there. And if you understand how you get there, you realize that there's never a good side or a bad side. It's just decisions from both people, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes evil, sometimes not. And then there's also a lot of how can I say? There's a lot of misinformation, and media. The media is used for that. Thank you. All right. Now that we're done with the intro, damn, I took 40 minutes for the intro. Oh my God. All right. Listen. All right. I'm going to go to my first leg of the show. So I'm going to mark a star here to know where I am in the chat, in the chat, so then I can find it back when I check your comments. Don't hesitate to comment as I talk, and then we will go ahead. All right. In 1944, around the end of World War II, which is a funny name again because it was actually European War, Occidental Wars, but all right, World War II. The Bretton Woods Agreement was a point where 44 nations, including like all the leading nations and including all the ones that won the war, were like, listen, it's a mess, and this is creating an economical mess. And then they had an agreement in Bretton Woods, which is the name of the Bretton Woods Accord, and they established a system through which a fixed currency exchange rate would be created using gold as the universal standard, meaning that every currency would be pegged to gold, and gold would be the reserve currency of the world, meaning that you got dollars, you got francs, you got Dutch mark, you got this and that. We all gonna put the reserves of gold somewhere, and we're gonna create an international monetary fund, IMF, FME, and then we're gonna create the World Bank, a bank for everybody. And in this bank, everybody gotta bring their gold, and you're gonna all put your gold there in the Federal Reserve in the US, and in exchange, we will give you dollars because, I mean, listen, we helped everybody win the war. We have a lot of money. We're going to help everybody. We're going to give money to everybody. So everybody bring me your gold. And in exchange, I promise to you that the dollar is going to be the reserve currency that we're going to use to trade with each other. And I'm not going to use it against everybody else. We're just going to use it because, yeah, listen, it's the one we choose, blah, 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 blah. We are the saviors of everybody. Don't worry. We have your gold. We have your gold. So good. In exchange of your gold, we give you a lot of dollars. And with these dollars, you buy oil, you buy this, you buy gas, you buy what, and they also created the euro. So, I mean, they also decided that they would do the euro, and they all decided to the whole world to be part of one big economic system, right? So that's 1944. Long time ago, when all of us were not even in the balls of our dads. So that's how the US became a US global currency backed by gold. Now, the problem is the US started going to war with people, usually to take control of their resources, and they needed a lot of money for that. And because they needed a lot of money, they would print more dollars as they needed it. The problem was, you cannot, like, if, let's say I have $1 million in gold, I'm supposed to only have $1 million, right? If I'm start printing more dollars because I need to fund a war, to fund the debt, to fund this, to fund that. If now I have $10 million and I still only have $1 million in gold, there's a problem. I need to first have some gold so that my money is worth the same as the gold I have. If not, if I printed $10 million and I only have $1 million in gold, then the value of the dollar is divided by 10. That's just economy. So then you have to, the more you print money, you end up having a money that instead of one dollar in gold is worth $1. If you have $10 now, so $1 is actually now worth $1 in gold is actually now worth $10. So a dollar, actually the real value of a dollar is only $0.1, and this is called inflation. And at that point in the 70s, the US is printing and printing and printing, and they're printing as they need to build weapons, to do wars, to go to Vietnam, to do this. And the French send a boat. The French send a military big boat, and they arrive to New York, and they're like, yo, we want our gold back, because you guys are just abusing of the dollar. And in 1971, the President Nixon has the whole world telling him, yo, what's up? We told you that we give you all our gold, but in exchange, you are supposed to not use the dollar like crazy. You're supposed to chill. And Nixon says, fuck y'all. Nixon decided in 1971, he changed the rules, and he changed the conversion from US to gold, from US backed to nothing. And now the US is just worth the US. The US dollar is just worth, it's not backed by anything anymore. It's just backed by debt and trust that other country has with it. And listen, we already are the strongest. We already are the one that is controlling everybody. We already have the IMF and control of the SWIFT. SWIFT is a messaging system. We're not going to go in all this, but we have control of the SWIFT that permits the exchange of money between banks around the world. We have control of the IMF. We have control of the World Bank. United Nations is in New York. You guys will do as we say, and if you're not happy, you're not going to get your gold anyway. So the gold that all the countries like France, the UK, all these people, they give their gold to the US, they never got their gold back. They were like, yeah, take some more dollars. No, I want my gold. Take some dollars. So now you are starting to have people in their feelings, because all these people are like, yo, these people were supposed to be responsible, and that's why we gave you all our gold. In 1974, the year I was born, the debt of the US is spiraling out of control so much, it's going crazy, that the US Treasury, Michael Blumenthal, goes to Saudi Arabia to cut a secret deal with the OPEC. So the OPEC is all the countries in the Middle East that are creating oil, petrol. And they cut a deal so that the OPEC, which is selling oil to everybody, and we are in the middle of, the revolution. All these countries are building. They need a lot of oil. So these countries are making a ton of money. But France is trying to have the world actually use francs for global exchange. But the US goes secretly in the back of everybody. And because at that point, when you want to buy barrels of oil, let's say you want to buy $1 billion of barrels of oil for your consumption in your country. If you're France, you buy it in francs. If you are the UK, you buy it in pounds. If you are Portugal, at that time you buy it Pesos was Spain. Escudos, if you China, you bought it in yuan. Everybody is buying it in their currencies, and it's fine. But the U.S. goes in the back of everybody, and in 1944 they promised that they would not do it. They go in the back of everybody, and they say, "Yo, Saudi Arabia, please, starting now, the price of oil will be in dollars, and nobody will buy their oil in anything than dollars." And Saudi Arabia accepts in exchange of a lot of money, some more American debt, which helps America control their debt, and which creates the world of the petrodollar, where since everybody is forced to use the dollar to buy oil and everything else in the world anyway, every time you buy oil, the US can control the flux, can know what you're doing, who's buying what, and now has more power than the rest of the world when it comes to the economic system. They just become the masters of the economical system, and they screw everybody. When I say everybody, they screw the French, they screw the European, they screw the Russians, like they screw everybody. And nobody can say nothing because they have a huge army, and they just listen. At that time, they are the one. So that's part one. Let me go check your comments. Listen, it's an interesting show tonight. As you can see, I did my homework. So where were we? Let me see. I put a star somewhere to find the... There you go. Okay. China played possum and just waited for the opportunity, but people should really pay attention to Russia too. The US empire is falling. It will take some time. The cycle is changing. I know, bro. 1 hour for the intro. That's me. Arnaud, what up? Welcome. Big up to the people watching from Congo, Brazzaville. Okay. It's like I'm in a history class. Listen, I try. I do what I can. Yes, exactly. Let me see. Let's reset this core system because it caused a lot of pains. Mass electronic. Tommy is saying that's why the EU created the euro to compete with the dollar, but the dollar was like the one ring, one currency to rule them all. Yep. I feel like a spy listening to this. They had indexed the oil to their currency. An evil but very strategic plan. Yep, that's true. All right. Let's continue the story. All right. Let me put some stars just to know where I am. That's cool. All right. So let's continue the conversation. Now, so let's, the world goes by, stuff happens, etc. Blah, 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 blah. Independence of the African countries in the 60s, before that, etc. Move straight forward. I'm going to explain to you. Saw a very interesting video from Jake Trent, I think, and a few other videos to inform myself. And I did a lot of reading as well. And I want to tell you about Mountain of Inspiration. What up, my cousin, and condolences. Get ready for the popcorns. All right. I want to tell you a few of the things that happen globally, not just in one place, really globally. And I'm glad that Mountain of Inspiration is here, so you can correct me and add your comment, because Mountain of Inspiration knows his history better than everybody. But I want to tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points. I want to explain 8 points, 8 dates that happened in the world between 2000 and 2023. And among millions of others. But I have another video that I will do about that, about some of these points. But because I don't want to spend millions of hours explaining, I just chose these 8 points, these 8 dates, so that you understand where we are. All right. So Iraq, back in the end of the 90s, 99, Iraq is the 5th largest petrol reserve in the world. They are huge. And October 2000, Saddam Hussein, the leader of Iraq, just takes a decision. So there's something that somebody said that was important here. Tome said that's why the EU created the euro, to compete with the dollar. And in 2000, Saddam Hussein announces that oil will no longer be sold in US dollar, and it will be sold in euros, the currency of the European Union. He announces that probably after doing some deals with the Europeans, I guess. And he's like, no, listen, Americans, they're doing too much. We're gonna sell all the oil that we have in euros now. And the Americans lie. So I'm not giving you opinions. I'm just giving you known facts, stuff that happened, right? In 2000, 2002, around there, the Americans start their campaign. They start campaigning. They start doing what they do. At that time, they have control of information around the world with CNN. And they start chanting this thing of Saddam is a dictator, is a bad person. They have weapons of mass destruction that they are building. And Colin Powell goes to the United Nations with a little thing like this. I don't know how we say in English. And they hear like, yo, they have chemical weapons. So I don't know if I can find a photo of that, but I'm sure that Colin Powell, Fiol UN. There you go. Soon as, and he goes to the UN and shows this to the, what? Get out of here. All right. He goes and he shows this. And listen, In there, there's probably some milk and some coffee or some caramel, or listen, who knows? But he goes to the UN and he does what people know how to do. What we've been seeing the last, let me talk. Listen, he goes and he's like, they have chemical gas. They're ready to kill the world. The CIA found that. We have to do something. And everybody gets emotional. Oh my God. We have to liberate the Iraqis. We have to liberate them from the dictator. And Operation, what's the name of the operation? Operation Iraqi Freedom starts in March 2003, the first war that is televised. And the US invades Iraq. But it's not the same as Russia invading Ukraine. It's not the same thing. Because Russia is bad. Here, it's for freedom. So because it's for freedom, it's a good invasion. 5 million Iraqis die, kids die, all these people die, but it's for freedom. And they hang that nigga live on CNN. Like, imagine like how barbaric, like if we did that to the French president, how barbaric it would be. But no, cool, they're here. They played on live TV. I remember seeing it at night, and I don't remember what Saddam said before being hanged, but he said something. That was how, listen, me, I was young, but I was shocked. I was like, yo, all right. And in June 2003, once the US took control of that whole thing, Iraq goes back to selling oil in dollars. And the petrodollar is protected. And everything goes back to normal. With time, we discovered that there was never weapons of mass destruction, that they lied. And none of them was called by the international Cour Pénale Internationale because, all right, that's story number one. Let me look at your comments before story number one to make sure that Mountain of Inspiration doesn't want to correct me. They fear our unification. Of course they do. Mon cher, il faut apprendre. Tu es là, tu es en cours. Tu es en cours de lingala à anglais. Fanda et apprendre. All right. Or just Mountain of Inspiration is going to translate for you in Lingala. The UN inspectors found nothing and were rushed out of Iraq. Yep. Indeed. All right. So, that's story number one. And I'm explaining to you all these stories because I want you to understand how a rebellion forms. And then I will tell you a personal story to end those stories. Let me write my story. There you go. So, 2002. Now it's a second story. All right. Historian, I'm good, all blessed. Do you anything you can call, and All right. Yeah. Bush wanted to end what his father started to, and all the rebuilding of Iraq, billions were given to the company of Dick Cheney, who was in the government. And yeah, and listen, time will tell. I cannot predict the future, but you will see BlackRock already has the deal to rebuild Ukraine. But let's continue in, the time. All right. Oh, Dahlia MTV. La poignardeuse. Thanks, cousin. All right. Second story. I'm going to try to not. Oh my God. What did I do? I erased my whole thing by accident. Wait. I got to zoom in. All right. So, second story. Let's go to the second story. Second out of 8. All right. The second story I want to talk to you about is 2002. In 2002, so imagine the whole people out there in Iraq, right? In 2000 and 2003, disgruntled. They're like, we don't like this. And imagine that the French and the Europeans, they don't say nothing because they're cowards. But imagine how they feeling inside when they are between themselves. They're like, our allies is actually fucking our bag. They're doing everything for us to not be able to use the euros and make our currency strong. And now we have all the countries since 2000. We have all our countries. The Portugal, they ditched the scudos for euros. The French, they ditched the French for euros. The Germans, they ditched the Dutch francs for euros. The Belgium, they ditched the Belgian francs for euro. Imagine all these people now. They have a currency and they cannot do local changes to their money. For example, you want to combat inflation in Germany, you could do something from your central bank using the Dutch mark, right? But if everybody's in euros, you want to do something in Germany, but the French might not agree because it will cut your inflation for you, but it will change the employment rate in France. So now you all are together with one big machine that is heterogenic, and so you are like, oh, okay, let's work together, and maybe we could start trading some stuff in euros. And the US is like, nah, my friends, it's not happening. All right, 2002, Hugo Chavez, who's the president of Venezuela, they have the largest oil reserves in the world, and they are selling their oil to everybody in US dollar. And in 2002, Hugo Chavez come to the world and say, yo, starting now, we are going to sell our oil in euros. And everybody's like, wow, what's going on? And the US does what they did in hundreds of countries. I have to find the link of this video, but that was an amazing video about all the coup they did. They back a coup against Chavez that doesn't really work, but destroy the whole Venezuelan economy. And now Venezuela, they have the largest oil reserves in the world, and they still are one of the poorest countries because, bad gestion. But it starts with this because they were making a lot of money at that time as long as they were cool with the US. Soon as they want to get out of the USD, cool. And now Venezuela is shit show. That's story number 2. And and there's a lot of stories that are like these 2 stories. There's a lot of them around the world. And I'll put a link in the description of a video where they explain all the coup that the US have done. In 2002, let me check this. Let me check the comments between where are they? Okay. I'm loving the show tonight. Thank you so much. Watching and listening that the CIA plus FBI are gonna knock on my doors. Now we're good. We're not saying nothing that is secret. Don't provoke me, Kim Kaysha. Let me take a quick shower and come back. I'm still listening. All right, brother. Listen, take your phone to the shower and put it like I put it when I'm in the shower. I put it in the corner. So, all right. Oh yeah, listen. The Arab Spring, Facebook was all over it. I don't want to tell all the events that happen in the world. I just want to give 8 events, but everything else you can think of, they got their hands in there. All right. In 2002, there is a huge economical crisis because of the dot-com bubble. So all the internet companies, they all fail, and with them they take the whole US economy because everybody was betting on the Yahoos and all the first dot-com companies. And to bail everybody out, as always, the US Federal Reserve decide to print more dollars. Quantitative easing, they print more dollars to save all these companies and to make sure that the US economy doesn't go down. But as they print more dollar, they make the value of the dollar, which is based on nothing. They make all their partners around the world be like, yo, imagine that the world reserve, so your reserves are in USD. That's why you are Congo, you are some countries. Let's say you have $10 billion. And because the US is printing more dollars, it makes the value of the dollars go down. Now, let's say that your $10 billion that you have now, their value is now only $7 billion. You can only buy what you could buy. You could buy worth of 10 million. Now is 10 billion. Now is down to 7 billion. And you're like, yo, the US, can you stop going at war with people? Can you stop like all these things? Because whenever you take wrong decisions, everybody else money is suffering, and then everybody else's economies are suffering, and we cannot do the things we would want to do because you are the ones who are controlling the world reserves. In 2008, another date that is important, there's a big financial crisis, one of the biggest financial crises after the 39 financial crisis in 2008. We were all there. It's Lehman Brothers Bank. All the banks start failing, and the housing market just goes down, and it takes the whole US economy down. And what they do, they print more dollars. If you are France and your country has problems, like for example right now, you are France and you have a problem with the pensions and you have everybody in the streets, You could make everybody happy by saying, you know what? Let's print 500 billion francs and let's turn them into euros and let's put it in the pension system, and we keep the age at 62 and we give money to everybody and everybody's happy. You can't do that if you're France, because the European Union have a big central bank called the EU Central Bank, and they are the one who can print euros. You, France, cannot print euros. So you cannot do a thing like the US do whenever the economy is going down, or whenever they have a war, they can just go to Congress, lie about something, print some money, and save all the banks. And the other countries like France, Germany, they're like, in 1944, we did a mistake because we gave power to these ones, and they are starting to bully people around the world, and they are bullying us too. All right. Oh, I forgot something. Let me add SVB Bank, because that's important too. All right. Another date that I want to talk to you about, and in 2009, the Colonel Gaddafi, who's in one of the richest country at that time in Africa with huge reserves, which is Libya, and they have huge oil reserves, and they have actually one of the biggest oil reserves in Africa. And Gaddafi says to everybody, he goes to the he sits down with all the African presidents, and he's like, guys, we are dealing with America, and we are all selling our oil in gold, in US dollar. But what we should do, since we have in Africa all the reserves of gold, all the reserves of coltan, manganese, etc., in Congo, this uranium in Mali, etc., we should do an African currency pegged to our reserves of gold that we will call the golden dinar. And this will be a currency for Africans, and we will have everybody sell our oil and the rest of if you want to be down with it, Congo and the rest of the countries, we could sell everything in golden dinar, because we have gold reserves to back our currency, and we could have a system so that these people in London and in the US stop deciding how much what we have cost in Wall Street, and we can have our own Wall Street, and we can decide and take care of our own future. And most African governments are like, that's a very good idea, I think. But, the US, I'm a little scared, they can create a coup d'etat in here, or they can fund our rebels. And they're like, listen, don't worry, we got this. And the UN, NATO, and the US create a coalition with France to liberate Libya, all the Libyans that apparently are suffering from the horrible dictator. And, campaign, TV, a little more than you make the old opinion rally, and they say, we got to go liberate them with Massaw and bring democracy in there. And they liberate Libya, turning it from a country that was a modern country to a hellhole where there's back to slavery, and you got refugees running away from this country and all dying in the cemetery that is the Mediterranean Sea. And now the Europeans are complaining about all these refugees that are coming to their shores, and they're complaining, we don't know to who, because they should complain to the people who went to liberate Libya, that didn't ask for nothing. They just were like, hey, we want to take care of our destiny, and we cannot take care of our destiny if we have the IMF cuffing our hands, and the World Bank pressuring us, and the US wanting us to do everything in USD so they can control our money, what we do with it, and decide when they want that, we put sanctions on you, you cannot use USD, etc., etc. So let's have our own money so we can take care of our own destiny. And you know what? That's what happened in 2009. Gaddafi is dead, and they show his body on national TV as if he was a nobody, a world leader. Gee. The famous speech by Minister de Villepin, in the UN Security Council. The 2008 to 2012, that was some years. That's true. All right. Telling you, Libya now is a nightmare. All right, let's continue. (2009). Let's continue. Let's move forward to so a lot of more things happen in the world. Arab Springs, this and that, etc., etc. 2019. We arrived to exactly. They showed a guy so that in case anyone would have the same idea. Completely do agree. Let's move forward because I wanna go back to part 3, but let's move forward to the pandemic. I'm using all the words that YouTube used to demonetize my stream. Listen, somebody sent me a super chat of $5. So anyway, so in 2019, 2020, it was 2019, 2020, right? COVID, pandemic, all the countries decide to lock down. And this destroys the world economy completely. Everything stops. The country doing oil have no revenue for 2 years. The singers have no revenue for 2 years. We all here stuck at home. I start Club Shada because I have nothing else to do. Everybody's online. Everybody's on Instagram Live, etc., etc. We all lived it. And the US economy and the Europe economy are completely failing. So what they do, they print more euros to buy vaccines, to buy, to save all their economies. And the Americans decide that everybody is staying at home and all these people will receive $2,000 per month for staying at home. So if you have 10 people in your house, you get $20,000. Everybody get $2,000 in their bank account. How do they send that money? They print more money. They print more dollars, and they don't care. They have a good excuse. It's the pandemic. So They print more dollars, and more people are like, yo, I mean, these guys can do what they want with the world reserve because they control it. And that's how crypto explodes, because a lot of people put their money in crypto, in Bitcoins, in a lot of altcoins, XRP, etc., Cardano. Crypto explodes, Dogecoin, etc., etc. And the US prints, I think they print more dollars. They print as much as 2 times the amount of dollars that is in circulation. Or maybe, like, I think there was $1 trillion in circulation. They print another $2 trillion to save their economies. And now you have so much dollars circulating in the world that the value of a dollar is divided by 3, and the faith in the dollar is starting to go down. Let's move forward. I'm not gonna go in how. Listen, a lot of them. I'm not gonna go in how we got there, because I did a whole video about it in 2022, February, after the whole the failure of the 2014 Accords, the failure of NATO to stay in its place, and the West Ukrainian bombing the East Ukrainians for years. Russia says, I had enough. I've been telling you for 10 years to stop expanding to me and try to turn everybody into Western countries. We invading Ukraine. The Russians invade Ukraine, and a few things happen there that are important for what we are talking today. One thing is, all the European governments, and with the American one and the Canada, they all decide on a narrative, and they all decide that they're going to do something that was never done, even during the 2 world wars. The banks would keep talking to each other. But why is this guy calling me at this time? I'm live. The Americans and the Europeans decide that they are removing Russia from SWIFT. So SWIFT is a messaging system that banks use. So every bank has that program, and they say, hey, because you cannot send. So how did this begin? I think it began with the churches. When you had 500 years ago, and maybe more, 500 years ago, when you had, let's say, 1,000 in gold, you had 1,000 bricks of gold, and you were in Rome, and you wanted to send them in France. Not only was it dangerous to walk around with gold, but it was also very heavy. So what they would do is they would put all their gold in forts or churches somewhere. I think it was in churches. They put it in the Vatican. There's a lot of gold there. They put it there in a church, and then they would send a clerk on a horse, and he would go to Roma and say, hey, these guys have 1,000 of kilos of gold in our church out there. And so the people out there in Roma, in France, in Paris, for example, Lutèce would say, okay, I note that Rome has 1,000 of gold. So if Rome wants to buy something in Paris, like a boat or build a cathedral or something, and they need 500 bricks of gold, they can say, yeah, we need 5,000 bricks of gold to spend, and the people who are supposed to give you your gold in the banks or whatever, I don't know, but the people who are supposed to give you your 500 of gold, they know they can give you the gold because the messenger told them that you have 1,000 of gold out there. So they give you 500 of gold in Paris so you can buy your stuff in Paris. And then they send a messenger back to the church where your gold is sitting in Roma and say, hey, they use 500 of gold to build something in Paris. So they remove 500 of gold from your reserve in Roma, and you don't have to send the 500 of gold out to Paris because the banks talk to each other and they all have, let's say they all have 10,000 of gold. So they just know that in my 1,000 of gold that I have here, you only now have 500 because you spend 500 in that other bank. And this is how it became a messaging system, where when you wanna send money to you wanna send 100 million from Russia to Paris because or from Paris to Russia because you bought X amount of gas, you don't send the money physically, you just send a message from bank to bank that says, hey, France just sent X amount of money to Ting. The money doesn't move, and everybody know in there, the whole system, there's a ledger that tells everybody that now Russia has 100 million from France. So France has minus 100 million, Russia has plus 100 million. And this is just what SWIFT does. It's just a messaging system. But they decide to remove Russia from SWIFT. And you know what happens when they do that? The French Minister of Economy says, we are removing these guys from SWIFT, and in 1 week, the whole Russian economy will be on their knees. And they start doing a campaign so that any company that is working still in Russia and saying, yeah, but I have employees, they didn't choose to do the war. Like, they just families, like, we have 45,000 employees. Like, what are we going to do? They force everybody to abandon all their companies, because if not, you frowned upon. And they believed at that point that this would kill the Russian economy. What they didn't know is that a messaging system is a messaging system. It's just sending each other messages. Everybody's using SWIFT around the world, and it's controlled by the Americans. But I mean, you can build your own messaging system if you've been ready. And actually, Russia was ready. Russia, China, they were building their own messaging system to send the information about trades. They thought that removing SWIFT from Russia would remove air from Russia. And actually, it didn't change nothing. And that was a huge mistake, because First of all, this showed other countries that we all playing the game. We all playing the game, the economical game, and we all don't agree on some things. But now you guys are telling me that if you disagree with me, so you guys went to war in 2003 with Iraq, and this was a war that was based on lies, just because you wanted to protect your interest, right? You did that, and nobody did sanctions to you, and nobody removed you from SWIFT because you control SWIFT, and nobody prevented you from using the US dollar because you control the US dollar. But now that Russia is doing exactly what you did, you were here telling everybody it's not the same thing, and you are removing Russia from SWIFT. So what does it say to the rest of the country watching? They're like, yo, we can't trust these people, and we cannot use dollars. We cannot have too much dependency on the dollar, because the Americans are using the dollars as a political tool and as a weapon. And I have a friend that works at the big bank in Congo, and one day Americans told her, I cannot give details, but one day they told her, if you continue your bullshit, we will remove SWIFT from you, just like they did to Angola. They can invent whatever thing. Oh, you are funding this or whatever. They can say whatever they want, and boom, they removed you from SWIFT, and now you cannot use the US dollar. So if you cannot use the US dollar, you can still use the euros. No, because the Americans tell the Europeans, if you work with a country that we sanction, then we will sanction you too. And the Europeans are scared, so they follow. And instead of having at least two choices, you only have one choice, and it's controlled by one person. And that person can bully people how they want. So this sent shockwaves around the world. A lot of people were like, yo, they can remove people from SWIFT just like that? And now your bank, they just say, oh, these banks cannot use this. And all these people, we're removing your boats, we're removing your whatever. And we don't care if you are part of this or that. Because we just say, he's a friend with Putin. And everybody's like, yeah, well done, motherfuckers. Because people are emotional. But if you look at the world the way I look at the world, you're like, uh-oh. They might have shot themselves in the foot. Let's say what happens. And what happened is that China and Russia already had another system that was a copy of SWIFT that they were testing for years. And when they say, we remove you from SWIFT, they said, all right, cool. So now, if you want gas, you're going to have to pay it in ruble or Chinese money. And the Europeans said, no, we're not supposed to pay we pay in dollars. And they were like, nope, not anymore. But that's the rules. Well, listen, if you remove me from the game, I'm going to play the game the way I want. And you guys going to pay me in ruble. All right. During this war, and nobody knows the reasons of the war yet, but one day it will be known. But there was a pipeline called Nord Stream. The gas was going from Russia, going through Ukraine, and continuing to Europe. Every time the gas was going to Ukraine, all the Ukrainian oligarchs were taking a fee, billions and billions of dollars, and they were using a lot of that money to send back to the US, etc., etc. And then Germany and Russia, they had a deal. We're going to build a second pipeline called Nord Stream 2 that will not go through under Ukraine, so we won't have to pay them. we will go directly in the Baltic Sea and arrive directly in Germany. And Germany was the one that really needed these gas to make their industry work. They use a lot of gas and they don't have nuclear plants, in the contrary to the French and other people. So the Germans, just before the war, that's when they were activating the new pipeline, Nord Stream 2. And Biden promised them, if Nord Stream 2 goes online, we will destroy it. Facts, not opinion, facts. And what happens is that at that point, the Germans, they were not so inclined to send weapons and to support Ukraine. They wanted to say, yeah, the invasion is not good, but listen, we have our deals with Russia and we need that gas. And the Americans were like, no, we can sell you gas. And they were like, yeah, but you want to sell us 4 times the price? Yeah, guys, listen, let's find a solution. Let's go talk to Putin. Let's go see if there's a way to change that. And at a point, Zelensky wanted to sit down with the Russians and negotiate a peace treaty. The Americans said no. And the Americans, it's been proven, destroy the pipeline number 2. Nord Stream 2 were destroyed by the Americans. It's a known fact. Who is the most frustrated in your opinion? Because nobody will tell you that in the news. But in reality, the Germans were pissed off. They were fuming. They were like, what the hell is this? We hear it's not a pipeline that was built by the Russians. It's a pipeline that was built by the Russians and the Germans. Cost them billions, both of them. And the Americans, they just came, blew it up. So the Germans were livid, crazy, pissed off, angry. But, they won't say nothing. Because if you're not on one side, the public opinions will be like, what? You support this? Okay. And we arrive at story number 9, the last story. And this one will be short because I read a little bit of your comment and I go to the last part of my show tonight. The SVB scenario, the SVB bank, Silicon Valley Bank. There's a bank run on all the American banks because we realize that most American banks, if you put, if let's say it's 10 people, you put each of you $10,000 in the bank. So the bank is supposed to have $100,000. And if all of you at the same time, usually what the bank do, they take your $100,000, they will keep maybe $10,000, which is called fractional reserve. And instead of keeping all your money in the bank, they will keep $10,000 in case one of you needs $1,000. They will use that. But they then take the $90,000 and they invest it into bonds and other economical stuff. And because they do it, they make money from the revenue. And whenever they make money from the dividends of those investments. And whenever you come and you say, hey, I need my money, they always have 10,000 just in case, because they're not all 10 of them will come and ask their money. So even if all 10 of them ask for 1,000, yeah, we have 10,000. And that's how they do. The problem is all these banks in the US and in Europe as well, Credit Suisse, SVB, and actually there's hundreds of banks, but they are pretending that, don't worry, everything is fine. a lot of these banks, they bought some special long-term investment that actually are safe. And they are safe because in the long term, after 10 years, they will bring like a big interest. But because the US has been printing and printing and printing and printing more dollars, inflation is going up. Because inflation is going up, the value of those bonds is actually less, meaning that it's something that, let's say you put your 100 million in those special government bonds. In 10 years, you will come back with 110 million, but it's going to take 10 years. I'm giving you fake numbers. It's just to explain to you more or less quickly economics. But if the inflation go, actually the value of those bonds goes from 100,000 to only 80,000. So all these banks, they were like, we have no liquidity. We have your money, but we invested your money in something that cost. So go back to all you 10 people, you all put 10,000 in the bank. The bank took 100,000 to simplify. They put it in those special monetary elements, and normally they will make 110. And then when you come and say, hey, I need 10,000 to buy something, they will get back their 110 and they will give you your money or whatever. But the problem is, with all the inflation, all the money being printed, all the system going crazy because the Americans are just printing and printing more dollars, the 100,000 that they invested is only worth 80,000. So if they sell now, they lose money. They need to wait 10 years. And you think your money is safe in the bank. And what happens is, like, some investors start talking, some companies start talking, all you 10 people, you start talking to yourself. You're like, yo, apparently this bank is having trouble. We should remove our money. And all 10 of you all go at the same time to the bank and you say, hey, I need my 10,000. It's called a bank run. When everybody's asking their money at the same time, and the bank only has 10,000 in their reserve because everything else is invested, but all 10 of you want your 10,000. So they need 100,000 that they don't have. And that's how all these banks went down, because not 10 people, but millions of Americans and big companies were like, yo, I need my 1 million. I need my 10 million. I need my, and you don't have to go to the bank nowadays. You just go to your computer and you say, hey, send me my money. And that's how Credit Suisse, SVB, and all these banks went down. And actually, there's a lot of banks that are in the same situation. And the Americans said, all right, we'll print more dollars. So we created the problem, and to fix the problem, we add more problem. And so we might be on the verge of a huge economic downfall if the Americans don't continue controlling the thing and continue changing the rates to combat inflation. The rates make those things where all these banks are investing, they make it less interesting. So all this created a world where the dollar is becoming more and more dangerous to hold for people. And before I go to the last part, I want to explain to you something that happened to me. So let me check your comments, and then I will go to the last part. All right. I remember when I was 8 and my mom put her hands on my eyes. Yeah, listen, that was crazy. That was crazy. The US has already supported Ukraine with 30 billion. Yep. Yeah. They make the money, they don't care. Too bad Russia's war vault is full of other currencies, including dollars and euros. But the crazy part is they cannot use these dollars and euros because they've been removed from SWIFT. They also have pounds and yuans. Nobody can cancel Russia with sanctions. Russia is now the world's Kanye West. Oh my God. Big bullies. The BRICS gang is here now. The US is massive bullying. They abuse their power, clearly. Yeah, listen, this is a long one. Normally it's an hour and a half, so we probably gonna go to 2 hours and something, but I think it's an interesting conversation. They even blow their allies' infrastructure. Who needs enemies with those kind of friends? Food for the brain. Thank you, Anand. Let my eToro account check my little investments. Yep, that's exactly what happened to the BES Bank in Portugal. I remember that's when I arrived. That was the same thing. All right. So, before I go to the last part of this conversation, I want to tell you a story that happened to me in the music industry. Let me do this first. All right. Let me tell you something that happened to me in the Zouk industry. At a point with Section Zouk, we had a monopoly on the Zouk market. France and West Indies. Not only on the monopoly on the sales, because we had all the artists from the top 1 to the top 30. Everybody was in the different labels that were part of Section Zouk, Sushi Raw, etc., etc. And every club had deals with the different managers and bookers that we were working with, right? So every artist wanted to sign with us so they could be part of our system. You sign with us, you have music videos, you get radio plays for sure, because we had people in every radio, and you're gonna perform. Soon as your song plays for 1 month, we're gonna send you to all the clubs, because we already have deals with all the clubs. So when everybody's calling for Fanny G or Kaysha or Sumia, we're gonna put you to open the shows, and after 6 months, people will know your face, etc., and you become famous. So we had the whole thing. And then in the summer, we send you to the West Indies, Martinique, Guadeloupe, Guyane, and you go 2 months there. You make your name for everybody. When everybody come back from holiday, you a superstar now. So now you can go and do your thing. In exchange, you give us your publishing, and we make the money from your CD sales. You make the money from your show. That was the business. But once we got the monopoly, some people inside of Section Zouk started going to the boss, and they start telling him, hey, only the people who are part of this label and part of that management and inside of Section Zouk should go to the West Indies, should have access to all these shows, etc., etc. And they start having mafia moves and extortion and bully moves with the artists, with the clubs, and with the artists that were outside of Section Zouk. So in 2007, it's the last time I go to Martinique, Guadeloupe. I'm there. I see that we are doing a bunch of shows and it's not paid a lot because we're doing shows for promo, shows like, and it's more like, let's stay for 2 months, do like 30 show, all paid 300, and then at the end, it's still a lot of money. And me, I was like, that's not a good idea because you are devaluating the value of all these artists. That's what I was telling. And everybody was looking at me like, oh, this guy wants to fuck the business because I was going to the artists. And I was telling them, it's not a good idea to be here all the time. You cannot come here in December, in April, for Easter, come in the summer, and then come again for whatever. Like, you have to leave a little bit of room. And I was explaining to the artists how I was doing my business. I was telling them, look, I do a lot of shows in Portugal. And then after a whole year of doing a bunch of shows in all the cities in Portugal, I spend a whole year refusing all the shows until I have a new album. I refuse all the shows in Portugal so that people want me again. And they're not used to seeing me every time they go out at night. Because I don't go to Portugal for 1 year. I now go to Mozambique, Angola, São Tomé Príncipe, all these areas, and I do shows there and maybe one show in the US. That's the second year. Then I release a new album, and then I'm back to doing shows in France, Belgium, Switzerland. And in 1 year, you can do 50 shows in all the clubs in here and there. So 2 years have gone by, and now Portugal didn't see me for 2 years. They're ready to pay the price that I want because they didn't see me for 2 years. And now I have a new hit. Something going on comes out. Big hit. Whatever songs, Question My Heart. Everybody wants me. The price is this much. Okay. The bookers in Portugal, we give them, okay, now you can sell the shows. And now we do all Portugal. Braga, Lisbon, Porto, Algarve, etc. All the clubs, etc., etc. Come for a weekend, do 4 shows. Go back to Paris, do some shows in Paris, etc., etc. And that's how I would divide the world so that I never have people completely tired of my brand. And then, but them, they wanted to control the West Indies so much, and no artist wanted to leave the market for other artists. So even inside of Section Zouk, now you had the bigger artists fighting against the smaller artists, and the artists that were with the mafia wanting to prevent the other artists to get in. So I signed an artist called AC Jordan, and at that time when we released his album, I'm like, hey, I talked to the CEO of Section Zouk. I said, Harold, we need his songs and Shada's songs to play on radio. So you do what you do. Talk to the people. We will do some shows for free, no problem. And I need them to go to the West Indies. And he tells me, yeah, the radios this summer, they don't accept new artists. And I'm like, what? In reality, the male singers that were on tour this summer, they didn't want competition from a sushi roll artist. So they cut us and they said, oh no, we can take you, blah, 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 blah. But they started and I was like, all right, it's going to be time to leave and start what I do now, which is sushi roll completely digital. I was like, problems. And actually, yeah, it was starting to be, hey, there's only so much clubs. It's better the 10, 12 artists that are always in the West Indies. We don't let nobody get in. So me, I arrived with Mika Mendes, Looney Johnson, AC Jordan, Shana, and none of these can go perform in the West Indies. And I'm like, what's going on? And only the artists that I have that are part of that management go to the West Indies. And I say, that's not normal. And I tell the artist, guys, there's a problem because now you are bullying other artists that are in the label, but you are also bullying the clubs because when they want to have an artist that is outside, like Linsha, for example, you guys are sending artists to perform all around her show for free just to fuck her show. And you call the radios and you tell your radios, hey, if you play songs from such and such, then Fanny G or Sumia or XYZ or Marvin will not come to the party of your city. They will not come to the La Fête de Bouillon. And they're starting to do these bullying tactics to remove all the competition from the West Indies, including people from inside the label. And me, I was looking at this and I was like, yo, that's mafia tactics. And my last show in the West Indies was in 2007 because I was like, I'm not singing for 300 euros. I'm out. I went to Angola, did a lot of money because I had a lot of different places where I could perform. But everybody else was stuck in that system. So if you were inside, you was doing everything to never live. And if you were outside, you were pissed at the people who were preventing you from getting in. And if you were a club, and let's say you want to have Ali Angel and Tina and Linsha as a show, you get bullied by Section Zouk that is telling you, hey, if you get these people in your club, you will not have Fanny G this summer. Just like the US was doing with the petrodollar to all these countries. Same thing. And you create, I remember telling the CEO of Section Zouk, Harold, at that time, brother, you are creating resentment from the clubs, from the promoters, from the mayors of the different cities, because you are bullying them into only using your artists. And at the same time, I remember going to a club with the artists that were performing one night, and they arrived, like all the artists, and I hear a girl in the public saying, oh no, not them again. People were tired of seeing them performing all the time because everybody was only between the two islands and Guyane. And I was telling the artists, hey, next summer you should skip going to the West Indies, and maybe you go to Belgium, maybe you go to Lille, maybe you go to Valenciennes, maybe you do the north of France this summer, and maybe after a month you can do Biarritz, you can do the south of France, and maybe, hey, I can try to take you to Portugal. And the artist would be, yeah, you think so? And then the management and everybody else and the other artists would come to the artist after me and would be like, hey, what Kaysha did tell you? Oh, he told me that, gave me great idea of things that I could do. And they would be like, don't listen to him. He's a hater. He's trying to fuck your career. Listen. Let me pay you a music video. You need a new music video. There you go. You want to go to the West Indies? I have a show for you. They don't pay you, but you're going to be in a hotel for 1 month for free. And you can have a car and a jet ski for free. You want to go? Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, just go. So you can do your photos on Facebook just like the other girls. And all these people were all being superstars, but they were all eating rocks. They were not making any money. They were going 2 months in the West Indies, and they were doing like 40, 50 shows and making maybe 3,000 to 5,000, which made no sense because we were at the top of the food chain, but everybody was being exploited and everybody was made believe that, yeah, that's how, we have to occupy the territory. And me, I was like, I'm done with this market. Cool. And I was even done with the whole business disgusted even. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm moving to Portugal. That was 4 years before me moving. I was like, all right, I'm moving to Portugal. I'm going to make sure that my business is completely digital. I'm going to make sure that all my masters, I can recuperate everything. And I'm going to make sure that I'm out of all these things. And I remember summer of 2008, I come back from Angola with 40,000 euros or $40,000. I don't remember. And I have two of the girls that I used to work with. I invite them to dinner and they don't have food to feed their children. Their fridge are empty and they just got their shows canceled because there's bad weather in the West Indies. And I was like, okay, your shows got canceled, but at least you have to 50% of the shows. No, we don't. And I was like, what? And I had to give them money for them to, and I gave them ideas of things that they could do. And soon as I gave them ideas, the management would come and say, Kaysha is a has-been. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's trying to fuck your career. Don't listen to him. Here's a little bit of money. Here's a new music video. Okay, we're sending you to Cayenne. Go. And me, I was like, yo. But because everybody had the fear of disappearing, the same way as most countries were pissed at the US, most countries in Africa, most countries in South America, most countries around the world, and even Europe, but everybody was scared of losing their position and being removed from SWIFT, just like Angola got removed from SWIFT. Everybody was scared of not being able to go back. And they were like, if I don't go there, I will not exist anymore. And I was telling all of them, guys, I'm proof that you don't need to go there to explode. Spotify was starting to exist. Money was made on iTunes. I was doing shows in Portugal, Switzerland, Mozambique, Angola, Sao Tome, the US, here and there. Cape Verde, I was going to Cape Verde. I was like, sisters, the world is vast. Martinique, Guadeloupe, Guyane is like a tiny, tiny percentage of the market that you can have. I remember telling Sumia, for example, you are Moroccan. We can do zouk songs in Moroccan. We can do reggaeton in Moroccan. We can do Natasha Atlas style music just for that market. We get you a manager. We get you somebody just for that market, and we made you a star for all the Muslim or the Arab world. And you have two careers, one in French for the zouk market and one in Arab for that market. Soon as I said that, and she was like, oh, that's amazing. That's a great idea. Let's make it happen. And I was like, you don't need to go to Martinique and Guadeloupe every summer. Take this summer, take a month. We go in the studio. We do 10 new songs that we will release one every month for the next year, because you are not in the rising phase. Remember what I said in the beginning? You are not in the rising phase. You are not in the apogee phase. You are in the cruise phase. At that time, everybody's 35, 30. I was like, we are here now, and we got to be ready to land and not crash. We have to be ready to land. And I was like, if we can do the things we're going to do, we start writing for the young girls that are coming. We then live from our catalogs. And I was trying to prepare this for all the artists that I worked with, for Shana, for Taina, for Sumia, for Tia, but my plan was it was a contrary to what those people wanted to do, which was exploit these girls. And after I said all this, and she was like, okay, let's do it, let's go. And I was like, listen, we're gonna do shows in north of France, shows here. I'm gonna ask Olivier Dumou and my guys in London and my guys in Portugal. and we're gonna do some songs in English so you can have a market in Portugal. I was like, I know how to do it. But then they would come to them and they would be like, don't listen to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's angry. He's trying to ruin your career. And I was like, how come I'm ruining your career when I'm the one who built them with you? Same for Lila, Ledes, Taina, Shana, all these people, these people just came and they did that. And they were like, if you don't go to the West Indies, they will forget you. And we are managing the new girls. So if you don't want to do this show at the price that we're telling you, we'll send the new girls. Think about your children. Kaysha doesn't care, he's rich. Oh. And that's how I was like, I'm disgusted by the game. And I moved to Portugal. All this to explain to you that what I was telling you in the beginning of the show. The music business is exactly the same as the politics business. When I hear the stories of my dad or my uncles or my brother that's in politics, I'm like, this has nothing to do. This is nothing different than the music business. Money, ego, fame, decisions, and people trying to keep power. And in the end, everybody lost. The whole Zouk market got destroyed, and everybody got replaced by the Dajus and the Aya Nakamura because, everybody needed some fresh new blood. And then a few events happened as well, like the bombing of Paris, the fact that Paris didn't want clubs inside, so clubs had to go outside. So a lot of clubs closed. The 2008 economic crisis, people had no money to go to the clubs, so the clubs were empty. The people who would buy the bottles were not coming to the clubs, so the clubs could not pay the artists their cachet, etc., 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 etc. And now there's no Zouk market anymore. But just to explain to you that once all these artists went down, part 3, once all these artists started to have no more leverage and they needed shows, and all these artists had attitudes, all the promoters in the West Indies that got bullied by Section Zouk, they started closing the doors to all the artists. And they're starting to say, now we have local artists. We're going to work with our own currencies. We're going to work with our own artists. Now we don't need you. Stay in Paris. We got our local people. And, you need shows now? Listen, no, because last time I wanted to have these artists and you were bullying me. So now we don't need you. And that's how everybody went and started crossing the desert. While I arrived in Portugal, I was fine, going to the beach every day, chilling. But it's not a story about this. But I think that one day I will tell this story in detail. But I think it's a great analogy to when you bully people, there's a moment when karma is coming. And which takes me to a lot of things that are happening now. Okay, wait a minute. Let me look at your comments before I conclude this show. That actually was super fun to make. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoy, give me some unicorns in the chat. If you enjoyed this show that was a little different. It's not the first time that I do one, but masterclass style. Where were we? Angela Merkel was one of the few politicians I could trust. No, I saw that already. Food for the brain. I read that. Saw that too. Zouk history. Are you telling us about the start of the fall of Section Zouk? Yep, exactly. Listen, to me, in my intelligent brain, I can tell you that the start of the fall of the American empire is exactly the same as the fall of Section Zouk. It's exactly the same thing. It happened the same way. They started abusing their power, and at a point, everybody was just waiting for them to start stumbling. And when they stumble, boom, everybody was waiting to let them fall. Mafiosi, exactly. Oh, listen, that was crazy. That was slavery. Bro, you don't imagine. And they were all posting their photos, but in actuality, everybody was like, yeah, they were like, it was a sad time for everybody. People like to be fed with hopes and dreams, but sometimes it's only smoke and mirrors. Listen, the music industry, and people like me who tell the truth. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to make you a star tomorrow. I'm going to tell you, give me 10 years. And people are like, 10 years? That's a long time. I was like, listen, give me 10 years. We're going to do like 5, 6, 7, 8 albums. And in 10 years, you will be done. You can retire. One album, everybody start coming with ideas. New boyfriends, new people, new managers, everybody. And phew, all of them kill their careers exactly like that. That's a shame. How can people back in the day could take the Zouk market seriously like that? Oh, listen, trust me, that was crazy. Honorable Kaysha, Yokabiso, you should go into politics. Je serai ton premier suppléant. I mean, she would love to come, but it's too late for her. So if she comes, it has to be live early, like 6 p.m. or pre-recorded. So, but yeah, she tells me all the time that whenever she's ready, because she has a great story to tell. What up, Theodore? The misfortune of humanity comes above all from the fact that when a man feels he can do something, he always ends up doing it. That's deep, brother. That's very, very deep. All right. Thank you. I see that everybody is loving the show. Eventually, bullies get bullied and get a taste of their own medicine. That is very, very, very true. Don't end that show. It's great. Well, listen, I have to end the story because tomorrow, I'm telling you, tomorrow I'm recording an interview, a podcast, and it's in Portuguese. So I need to be informed. You should make a documentary. I know. It's something that I will do. Thank you so much. All right. Last part of today's episode, I want to explain to you the aftermath, or maybe the karma. But I want to explain to you everything that is going on right now. And to me, it was important to tell you everything that I've been telling you for 2 hours, so that instead of the way CNN and the news media is presenting you this information, when you turn on your TV and they tell you exactly the things that I'm telling you, they will spin it. Oh, look, you see these guys, they evil. Oh, they are backing Russia. Why do the African do not back all of us? They don't say that they are against the thing in Ukraine. Like all these things is people saying we are kind of done with all your selective fake outrage. Because when it's Rwanda and Congo, you don't care. Kivu, Sudan, XYZ, you don't care. You are actually selling the weapons to the people who are killing our brothers and sisters. But then you want us to all be bending behind you against Russia. And a lot of countries are saying, we disagree. Austria yesterday, Zelensky came to do his habitual things where he talks to all the parliaments, and everybody was like, I mean, a big part of the parliament, like one party, they just all stood up and left. Because everybody is starting to say, wait a minute, how we can send billions to one country and at the same time, people are dying in our streets, like people, and you have people who lost their job during COVID, and apparently for nothing. From what the facts are saying now, they lost their job for nothing because they didn't want to take a vaccine, for example. And not only you don't want to reinstate them, but you don't want to pay them the money of the 2 years that they didn't get paid just because of your ego. But then you have billions of money to give to other countries. And a lot of people, they're starting to be like, that's a little strange. Yeah, but they're being invaded and they are victims. Well, I mean, wasn't it the same president that you were calling the most corrupt president in Europe like 2 years ago? No, forget about this. They are victims. And people are starting to be like, yo. So I need you guys to, you guys do what you want. I'm just giving you what happened in history. And now I'm telling you what's happening today. And now that you have some information of why it's happening, it's just the same as when all the Zouk artists were calling me to tell me, oh, Zouk is dying. We need to do Kizomba. Help us. And I was like, I'm not here anymore. I'm in Portugal. Can you send us a ticket to come to Portugal and sing? And I was like, who, me? The guy who's has been? No. I'm done. I'm gonna build my family. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna do my singles, my remixes. I'm gonna do my club shadas. And no, I don't want to save your market. I don't want to save you guys, because when I told you guys we have to do this, you reminded me that I was just a guest and I was an African. So I'm gonna let you enjoy the downfall as I'm building something else. And listen, with something going on exploding, they're all calling me again. You the one. You've always been the one. You were right. I said, I know. What are we gonna do? We? Who's we? No, but we need to do compa. We need to do kizomba. We need to do. I'm a piano. Sorry. Like, listen. This is crazy. All right. Let's continue. Please write a biography. Oh my God. People want me to write a book. Kaysha is a good verso. Thank you. I can be a bad verso too. Exactly. And that's true. All right. True. Oh yeah, every day they call me for advice all the time. All of them. Even the management and the people that actually were doing a lot of things behind my back, they call me all the time asking for advice and telling me, oh, look at all these artists, they fuck their careers. And I'm like, really? And you have nothing to do with it? No, of course not. I'm like, all right, peace. Come to Club Shada, let's come and talk. Listen. Oh, listen, me too, I would love to. All right. Let's go to the conclusion of this show. Let's get to the conclusion of this show. I'm glad that you learned stuff, and I'm glad that you're enjoying. All right. I'm not going to explain to you why. Because I just explained to you the why. Now I want to explain to you what is going on today. All right. And these different things in different parts of the world. This is the Bolivian president. The Bolivian president, so there's a lot of people to build the batteries. You need lithium, right? And a lot of lithium is actually in Bolivia and South America and some of these countries. And here is something that the Bolivian president just said yesterday or 2 days ago. We must be united in the market in a sovereign manner with prices that benefits our economies, the Latin American ones. And one of the ways already proposed by Mexico's president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, is to think of a kind of lithium OPEC, Arce said in a speech in La Paz. We don't want our lithium to be in the Southern Command's crosshair, nor do we want it to be a reason for destabilizing democratically elected governments or foreign harassment. Rebellion. Now, let me tell you before I go all the different chess moves that are happening right now. And I'm not talking about everything, but I'm just going to give you a list of everything that is happening like right now, this week. All this is this week, right? So, it was announced yesterday that China and Brazil are about to trade $150 billion of oil and whatever they're trading between each other, and that we're doing in dollar. They will now do it using yuan from China and reais from Brazil. They're ditching the US dollar for their trades between Brazil and China. Saudi Arabia just announced 2 days ago that it is not, first of all, they talking with Iran, and they will now accept to trade oil not in USD like they've been doing since 74, but now if you come from China and you have yuan, you can pay in yuan. If you have ruble and you're Russian, you can pay in ruble. They will take everything. And they are ditching the USD. Kenya decided that for oil trade and other trades, they are ditching the USD. And they will do all their thing in Kenyan shillings, because they prefer their own currency than a currency that they don't control and that people can use to bully them. India just announced today that they are ready to trade in every partner's currency. You want to do business with India? All the oil that is sanctioned by the Russian oil and the Russian gas that the Europeans are shooting themselves in the foot by not buying, India is buying it and can resell it to you. And because you don't want to have problem with SWIFT, no problem. Us, the BRICS, them, we can deal in your currencies and you can use our system that is not SWIFT. You can just put it in all your computers and we will work in your currencies. We prefer having reserves in a lot of different currencies than American that people are starting to not trust. Brazil and Argentina just announced that they are thinking of trying to create a South American currency just for the different countries in South America. And when you want to trade with them, they can work together. India and China are now decided that everything they will trade, they will not use USD, they will trade in their currencies. Europe is not saying anything. But trust me, Germany is pissed. And the others are cowards, but they are watching, and maybe they are playing how do you say billard à trois bandes? They are like trying maybe to look at the long game and saying to themselves, if the dollar falls, we have the euros. So let's wait and see. Kamala Harris went to Ghana and she told Ghana, yo, listen, China is a threat. You have to stop working with China, blah, 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 blah. And the president of Ghana replied to her live on TV. For those who didn't see, you can search it on YouTube. He told her to her face, you guys might be obsessed with China, but we are not. China is our friends, is one of our partners, just like a bunch of other countries. So your obsession with China is yours, and you're not going to put it to everybody else. And the BRICS are creating a new financial system that is the same as SWIFT, that when you want to work with the BRICS country, you will use their financial system. And I heard, but this I don't know if it's something that is true, but there's rumors of something called Operation Sandbox, where all the countries that have dollars are gonna create like a bank run. The thing I was telling to you, that everybody comes and say, hey, we want to sell our debt of the dollars. We want to sell it, so we want all our money back, and which would completely destabilize the dollar. But this, I don't know if it's true. And all this is to tell you that, okay, the reality is that there's a rebellion, and I believe that with the current event of the last year, this has precipitated this. You can see with Uganda, what the way they're talking, a lot of countries are starting to say, hey, listen, being out of SWIFT actually might be a good thing. And trading dollar has its good, but because the dollar is like a political arm for the US, it actually makes more sense to work with our own currencies or have different regional reserve currencies, so that you don't have one person being able to destabilize you or do like what they did to Angola. Angola was buying this whole city. They were buying every apartment. They were coming. The artists were taking over the radios and stuff, and they just removed them from SWIFT from one day to another in 2008, I think. They were just like, and all of a sudden, you could be a millionaire in Angola, but you could not pay for the school of your kids in Lisbon. And a lot of people had to take their kids back to Angola or to other countries because they could not use the USD and the euros, meaning that you had kwanzas as a multimillionaire, but you could only use them inside of your country. and this crippled their economy, among other things, of course. And all this is creating a bunch of disgruntled people who are ready to band together because they're like, yo, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And we are still in a system where 95%, if not more, of the world exchanges are done in dollar. I don't think that the dollar will fall from one day to another, but it's clear that China's direction is to take the opportunity of now to move to the next phase of their plan, which is becoming a force to be reckoned with, where instead of having to use dollars, they can use their own yuan and make the yuan as strong as the dollar. Russia is playing also their own game where they're like, yo, listen, we actually naturally should be in cooperation with the rest of Europe, but they decided to follow everything that the US does through the IMF and NATO. So what we're going to do is that we're going to just, instead of looking west, we're going to look east. We're going to sell our oil to China, and all the Zaras and the Renault and all these people, the McDonald's and all the Occidental stuff that don't want to be here with us. We're going to replace them with Chinese stuff and Indian stuff and Brazilian stuff and South African stuff. And then you have a bunch of countries that are like, yeah, actually the BRICS. So the BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. There's a lot of countries that are thinking of joining that cooperation and not just have the G7 and the G20 ruling the world. The rest of the world is just saying, listen, 1 billion people cannot rule the rest of the 7 billion out of just because. People are saying, okay, we can run ourselves, and you have the West African countries, ex-French colonies, they want to leave the CFA. Niger, I think, wants to have their own currency and get out of the CFA. I think it's Burkina Faso as well. Like, things are changing, and things are changing in a way that people want to be able to move away from the control of one country. And the question that I have two questions. The first one is, when this happens, I don't know how long it will take, and I don't know if people will succeed, because I don't think that, when an empire falls, they either try to burn everything with them, or they do everything to stay where they are. So I don't know what they're gonna do. But if they succeed in doing this, and the $33 trillion of debt that is in dollars, and that is not backed by nothing, because they just print their money when they want, how does it change their own economy? And what wars will they try to create to try to stay on top of things, destabilize government? Like what are they gonna try to do? That's a question that I don't have the answer, but I'm asking. This is one of the things I'm asking myself. And the second one I'm asking myself is, in the future, what kind of bloc are we gonna have? Some people say it's just gonna be like the Occident on one side, China. Me, I'm like, maybe it's just gonna be multiple different blocks, like the Latin Americans, the from Mexico down to Peru, or the Chinese and Asian Pacific ones. Which game are the Europeans gonna play? Are they continue to follow the US, because the US is protecting them with their armies and stuff, and like when we should protect ourselves, Europeans. So what are the Europeans gonna do? How will they do? And another question I'm asking myself is, what are the Africans going to do? I see a lot of African countries getting a little bold and courageous now, being like, hey, listen, no, we want our societies a certain way, and we're gonna have our trade, and we're gonna work with different people. We want to be able to work with the Europeans, the Americans, and the Chinese, and the Latin Americans, and we want to be friends with everybody. We don't have to be the enemies of the people that you don't like. We want to. So, and is Africa one big block, or is it going to be 3 blocks? Like, and the ideas of Gaddafi of an African currency, are we going to put that back, or are we still in the position where they can still create some coups and some rebellions in our countries, and are we able to also deal with ourselves? I mean, lots of interesting questions that I find as a person that loves geopolitics. And it's crazy because when I was a kid, I was like, my dad's a politician, I'm gonna be single. I don't want to touch politics. And look at me, I can have like long political conversations now. And yeah, it's very interesting. I'm wondering what's gonna happen, and now I guess it's wait and see. And I hope you enjoyed this show. I really enjoyed having that conversation with you guys, and I hope you also enjoyed. So if you did, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to super chat, don't forget to share it to your friends. Maybe if you know somebody who would love to listen to this conversation and to add to it, send it to them. Don't forget to go to the channel and put some comments. And this show was brought to you by shadaware.com. It is 3:15 a.m. The stream royalty for the month of April is Black Free Thinker. Thank you so much to him and to all the sponsors. And let me look at your last comments before I play you. I think I'm going to do a listening session next week of the twerk remixes. And actually, I'm going to play you before I go. I'm going to play you the Makita remix of twerk. But before I go, let me look at your last comments. Don't forget to put some unicorns or some rainbows in the chat if you enjoyed this conversation. And please document yourself, because it's just the documentation that I got here and there. I might have some missing elements, of course. As I always say, I'm not for nobody's side. Actually, I'm not anti-American. I'm not pro BRICS. I'm a French citizen that lives in Portugal and that was born in Congo. So my allegiance go more to these 3 countries. But I like to view the world in a honest way and not in an emotional way. So I hope you enjoyed. I got to keep some voice for my podcast tomorrow. I really hope you enjoyed that show. And I will see you Wednesday for a music listening party. And we go to something a little less serious. I still have a few things that I want to talk about, but I kept them in my notes. So I will keep them for next time. And where were we in the chat? Now we need that episode about what happened to Zook. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a nice one. Ngambe Edo should write his memoirs in politics, and you should write about everything you have experienced in the music industry. Yeah, that's true. I'm thinking about telling my dad if he would be interested in doing a club Shada with me. Not live, of course, pre-recorded, but I would love to maybe book a hotel room or a place and do an interview and ask him about, like, he's a Mossad trained secret agent, so there's a lot of secrets that he will not give, but I think there's a lot of interesting things that he can talk about. That would be amazing for the memory of that country. So this is something that I have to talk to him about like, yo, how do you think about, having a conversation with me about the politics of Congo? That could be cool. Planning. Oh, I'm sure they are. Akuto Ado is a boss. Akufo Ado is a boss. We're not afraid of you anymore. Yeah, that's basically what they're saying. I remember that time I was working at Porto's airport, and before that Swift event, Angolans had such a consumption power. I remember Angolans buying 400 euros per form. Their finance were fire. Listen, when they got cut of Swift, I remember my friend Thais, who was the queen of the night in Portugal, was telling me that all the people that were buying the tables in her parties were not there anymore, and she got a hit in her finances. And that's actually how the dolls, her group, that probably one of the things that killed their momentum. The US will no longer will be ruling the world. It's possible. I mean, they will try. It's not over yet. They will try to. I'm sure that they are trying to spin the narratives and to see who they can work with. But yeah, we are arriving to this position to this moment where one of their weapons, everybody is banding together to stop that. And I believe that it's their fault, because if they respected what they said in 44, not to us, because they didn't care about our opinions, Africans. So I'm talking about an African, but now I'm talking as a French, but to us, the French. And the rest of the 44 countries that were at Bretton Woods, if they just respected their opinions and just kept the dollar as a reserve, and maybe they could not print dollars without having the agreement of the rest of the world, it would have been a different conversation. And if they didn't use, listen, you a Russian oligarch and you're minding your business in south of France, and all of a sudden, not only your bank's account don't work anymore, but they also take your boat and your house for no clear reason. This is normal. I mean, I don't know why a judge cannot go and tell people, hey, you can't do this. I understand there's a war. I understand all this. But still, I bought that house with my money. And you cannot just decide like this that, no, listen. All your money, we're taking it back, and we're taking your house, and get the fuck out of here. All these people, you're going to regret them when you are trying to now build your touristic economy. All these people now, they're in Turkey, they're in China, they're in, the rest of the world exists. And that's what all these people don't understand. They believe that they are the only ones that have beaches, restaurants, perfumes, airports. Go to Istanbul. Go to the Istanbul EST airport and you're gonna be like, wait a minute, that's not what they're saying in the French TV. That's exactly what my mom told me 2 months ago. When she landed in Istanbul, she was like, what the hell? I thought this was a... I said, yeah, that's French TV. That made you think that. And people have a choice. That's the thing. And actually, I believe that it's important for people like have a choice. And to go back and to not make this show long, to go back to what I was saying about the Section Zouk days, I was always telling my partner, the CEO, the owner, Harold, I was always telling him, you need to have 2 big labels like yours so that artists can have the choice. Because if they have the choice of signing to you or to your competition, it's good for the contracts. It's good because you're not gonna exploit them, and they will have a choice and they will have a possibility to go from one label to another, and it's healthy for the market to have competition. And he was looking at me like, you crazy. I'm gonna crush everybody that tries to compete with me. And listen, all the other labels, or if you left Section Zouk label or MG Takes Management, they will destroy your career. They would do everything. Like, you would call the clubs to perform. The clubs would be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I cannot hire you. Exactly what happened to me in 2001 when I left my label. Nobody wanted to sign me, and yeah, I had no market for me. And yeah, listen, I had to 2 years do my thing by myself until I did On Dit Quoi. And then everybody was calling, are you still signed? I was like, I'm not signing with nobody. I'm taking 100% of the money by myself. But yeah, let's keep that for another time. It's China we're talking about. Same nation who had General Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War. And they did a discourse 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, where they were saying, this is what we're going to do in 100 years. They told everybody what they would do. They all gave the blueprint. I remember the part where he said to cut the food supply of the enemy army. Yep. The US dollar is that food. Woo. Oh, Double XL is still here. It was so fine. Thank you so much. It was great. Thank you so much. Look at this. My pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure. A show 3-star. Thank you so much. Plus show, sorry. Have a good start of the week, Shada Gang. Exactly. I'm going to leave you guys with this song called Twerk, the Makita remix, and we will do the listening party probably Wednesday. Koda Frogs, what up? Welcome to the Shada Gang. Ótima conversa, abraços do Brasil. Ei, muito obrigado. Muito do que você falou aqui bate com um jornalista brasileiro que cobra Eurásia chamado Pepe Escobar. Recomendo a leitura. Muito bem. Se tu tens o meu Instagram, se faz favor, me manda o link. You said it in English as well. Thank you so much, Alan. Oui, bien sûr, on est encore là. They're working at Doc's Club, if I'm not mistaken, in art. Yeah. Exactly. Now you know why. Listen, you need information? I'm the guy. All right, guys, I'm leaving you because I really have to go take some sleep. It is 3 a.m. already. I'm waking up tomorrow early to go record this podcast, and it's going to be in Portuguese, so I have to have my mind right and not look like stuff. I'm playing you Twerk, Makita remix by Kaysha, Bodhisattva, and Alesh. Shada Gang, bless.
Monanzal, English, Kaysha. trash. Yeah, you know your law, vigno soyangoyo. À chaque jour ça peine, y'a les lotos huitoliers. Tika y'a quoi se pela, muto ape qui sate, moto epela. Les locaux pe mate, butu y'a les locaux tika tante. Twerk, twerk, say, oh yeah, twerk, twerk, Tina, say. Boule à cash, belle ambiance, drop it low, turn it up. Twerk on the left, twerk on the right. Oh yeah, twerk, 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 twerk. Tina, say. Oh yeah, twerk, 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 twerk. Tina, say.
Step into the club, always with my group. DJ played a dub, came in with the good looks. Qu'est-ce ça épelé, au cookie qu'on sortit ma gueule. Please don't kill my vibe, circles not pour le. I came with levels, someone the labels. I'm not here to explain on me. I came to dance, if you excel, you might as well dance on me. Twerk, twerk, say, oh yeah, twerk, twerk, Tina, say.
Cool up, cash, belle ambiance, drop it low, turn it up. Twerk on the left, twerk on the right. Oh yeah, twerk, 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 twerk. Tina, say. Oh yeah, twerk, 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 twerk. Tina, say. Boule à cash, belle ambiance, drop it low, turn it up. Twerk on the left, twerk on the right. Oh yeah, twerk.